just south of Mexico City, beyond the crowded streets and endless traffic, the canals of Xochimilco become strangely quiet. The deeper the boats travel into the old waterways, the less human the world begins to feel. The air becomes colder, the trees grow thicker, and the water turns almost completely black beneath the fog. Tour guides avoid certain paths after sunset. Locals refuse to travel alone at night. And somewhere deep inside those ancient canals, hidden between dead trees and rotting wooden paths, there's an island covered in thousands of hanging dolls. Broken dolls, burned dolls, eyeless dolls, dolls with missing limbs swinging slowly in the wind. Their faces stained by decades of rain, mold, insects, and decay. But according to locals, the dolls were never decorations. They were offerings, placed there by a man trying to stop something from reaching him in the dark. His name was Don Julián Santana, and before his death, he claimed the island was haunted by the spirit of a little girl who drowned nearby. At first, nobody believed him, but then visitors started reporting strange things. Whispers in the trees, footsteps behind them, dolls turning their heads, and voices coming from the canals after midnight. Some tourists claimed the dolls blinked. Others said they heard children crying from the water. And over time, the island's legend spread across Mexico, then across the internet, becoming one of the most disturbing paranormal locations in the world. But the most horrifying part of the story was how it ended, because decades after discovering the girl's body, Don Julián was found dead, floating in the same canal, in the exact place where the child supposedly drowned. And to this day, many believe the island is still alive, watching, waiting, and listening. According to local accounts, everything began sometime in the 1950s. Don Julián had abandoned ordinary life and isolated himself deep inside the canals of Xochimilco. He lived alone on the small island surrounded by water and trees. No nearby neighbors, no electricity for long periods. Only silence, water, and darkness. Locals described him as quiet but respectful. He spent most of his days fishing, farming, and maintaining the island. But one afternoon, everything changed. Don Julián later claimed he heard screaming coming from the canal near the island. At first he ignored it, but the sound continued. A child scream, then suddenly, silence. He grabbed a small boat and searched the water. The canal was dark and difficult to see through. Branches covered parts of the surface. The water barely moved. Then he saw something floating near the reeds. A little girl, face down in the canal, motionless. By the time he reached her, she was already dead. Nobody knew exactly how she drowned. Some locals believed she fell into the water accidentally. Others claimed there had been another child nearby who disappeared before authorities arrived. But records surrounding the event were always unclear. And over time, the story became impossible to separate from rumor. Shortly after the girl's death, Don Julián claimed strange things started happening on the island. At night, he heard footsteps outside his shack, whispers near the trees, movement in the canals. Sometimes, he claimed he heard a little girl crying, calling for help from the water. At first, he believed grief and isolation were affecting his mind, but the experiences became more intense. One night, he reportedly found an old doll floating through the canal near where the girl had died. The doll's face was damaged, one eye missing, its skin blackened by water and mud. Don Julián believed it belonged to the dead child, and according to his own account, he hung the doll from a tree to calm her spirit. But after that, more dolls began appearing, floating in canals, caught in branches, buried in mud, and Don Julián collected every one of them. Soon, the island began changing. One doll became 10 became hundreds, then thousands, hanging from trees, nailed to walls, tied to broken wood, watching silently from every direction, their rotting faces slowly covering the island like a warning. And according to visitors, that was when the real nightmare began.